Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Ndifon Ntui, and on this channel I make sewing tutorials. I post new videos every Wednesdays and Saturdays. Now in this video I'm going to show you guys how to make a poncho with Ankara. So if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe, as that helps make the channel grow. If you're a beginner or if you are a person who wants to brush up on your skill, I offer online courses. I'm going to be showing a demo how to make a jumpsuit. So if you're interested, please please send a WhatsApp message to the number that you can see on the screen. I'll be expecting you. So I hope you like the video. Have a nice day. Bye bye. Alright, you guys are welcome to another video. In this video I'm going to show you guys how to make the poncho that you've seen in the thumbnail. Alright, okay, so to begin, I have 3 yards of fabric here. Today we're drafting straight on the fabric. We are not going to use any pattern paper. Okay, so you see the fabric I have here. I have 3 yards here. This is 3 yards complete. Now this is what I want you to do. You see this part here, this edge here that has the branding at that point right there, that is the border of the fabric. So I want you to take, you see this part here is sealed. I want you to take the part of the fabric that is open. So you see this end here, okay, see this end here where it stops. I want you to take it and bind it with this side, okay, then straighten out everything from there. Okay, so here is straight, here is straight, then you're going to smoothen out everything to the end. Alright, now look at the end. This is the end that is closed. The other end is the end that is open. Okay, I'm folding 3 yards into 2, and then I'm going to take this side and join it with here again. Okay, so you see this. Now we have 4 pieces here. Now if you look right here, we have 4 sides. Okay, we have the 2 sides for the front and 2 sides. 2 of this is for the front and for the back, so we'll cut front and back at the same time. Okay, so now I want you to make sure that this is very smooth, and then lay it down on your table. Okay, so lay it flat on your table. Make sure that all sides are completely flat. So you've seen how I've laid my fabric completely flat. Okay, now so you see these lines here. I want these lines here to be at the end of my poncho. So what I'm going to do is I want you to mark the dress length, okay, the poncho length, sorry. So my poncho length is 33. Okay, so we all know that the length of the width of Ankara is 45, so I'm going to use 33. So now 33 from the end here, I'm going to place 35 at the end, so I'm adding 2 inches of allowance. Okay, so I'll take 35. You see this 35, and I'm going to place it at the end of my pattern right here. You see that? And then I'm going to take this part here all the way up, okay, 35, and I'm going to make a mark at the very top. All right, so I've made a mark at 35. Now what I want you to do is I want you to cut that part completely off. Okay, so you see everything from here up, I'm going to cut it off. When you've marked out the 33, use a line and simply just roll a line straight across that point. After you've done that, you're going to need to cut it out. Okay, alright, so now I have cut it out. Now the next measurement you're going to need to apply would be the distance from one end of the sleeve to the other. So this image that you can see here is how you take the measurement. So we're going to go from one side of the where you want the sleeve to start from, across the shoulder all the way to the other side. So when I took my measurement, I'm working with 50. So 50 divided by 2 is 25, because remember we have folded, we have put the fabric on a fold. Okay, you see that the fabric has been put on a fold, so we have 25. Okay, 25 plus 1 inch of allowance. We're going to need only 1 inch of allowance. It's going to be 26. So I'm going to come from the edge here. Okay, so from this edge that I have here, I'm going to measure out where I have 26. Okay, so that's what 26 is. I'm going to make a mark at that point. So I'm going to come to here, make a mark at 26. Then I need to draw a straight line down. So to help myself, I'm going to continue doing this. 26, make a mark all the way down to the end of my poncho. And then I'm going to roll a line across all the points that I just marked. Now that I have that line, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that 26. So now for the very first step, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to head to my sewing machine so that I can join these two parts together. So now you see this part here, you see this top part that we have here. We're going to need to head over to, you see these two parts, okay? These two parts here at the top, you can see the line, the blue line that I marked. You're going to need to join these two lines together. This is going to seal the top part, okay? This line is going to sit across the sleeve up all the way to the shoulder. So you go and sew a line from here all the way to the other side, half an inch, okay? Join them together, half an inch across, okay? Alright, so like I told you guys, so you see the way it's folded now. This is the way it was folded. You can see that we still have the 4 pieces here, but the difference is what I said is was going to be I have joined the top together. So if you can, I hope the camera is picking it up, there is a black line, okay, that shows that I have joined these two parts together. Now what I want you to do is I need you to separate them, okay? So you see these two parts, so you see these two parts here that I have, okay? When I separate them like this, you can see the line, okay? You can see the line that I stitched, all right? You can see the line where I stitched, okay? So now what I want you to do is separate them continuously, okay? And when you have done that, you see this end of this line here, you see the end of this line that you have here, okay? After you've separated them, the very beginning of this line, I need you to take it and join it with the line on the other side, okay? So you see this, you join this line like so, and then adjust your whole fabric to lay flat like this, okay? So you see this, adjust here, and also adjust the other side. Alright, so lay it completely flat. You can see me, I'm trying to lay it flat, okay? The poncho does not have a zipper. Alright, so we're going to need to make provisions for the neck to pass. Alright, but the neckline at the front, so you see this part here, this is going to be the front of my poncho, and this is going to be the back, okay? So you cannot cut the same neckline, okay? I when it was folded the way it was, I can't just do neckline with neckline date and cut. If not, my back would have a deep neckline and my front would have a deep neckline, and that's not what I want. Okay, so now you see this line here, this line that you can see here shows my shoulder line. All right, this is my shoulder line. So one side of the front here is going to be my neck, and the other side is going to have will have to be the front of my neck, and the other side is going to be the back of my neckline. All right, so now what I want you to do is press and iron this. Make sure that this line, okay, is sitting on exactly the same place with the one underneath. All right, so I need to heat up your iron, press and iron this completely flat. All right, now after you have ironed this completely flat, the next thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to cut a rectangle for me. Okay, so you're going to need to cut a rectangle. Okay, so the rectangle that you are going to cut is you're going to need to cut 16 by 12. Okay, so you see this here, this is the fabric that I have here. All right, so I'm going to need you to cut a shape from here to here. A rectangle here to here is 12, at the top 2, here to here is 12, but the length is 16. Okay, so you're going to need to cut 12 by 16. Okay, and when you have done this, you're going to need to iron gum stay onto it. Okay, so gum stay is if you're in the US and other places, look for fusible non-woven interfacing. Okay, so now there are three types of weights. Okay, there's the lightweight gum stay, that's the one that I used on my lining in my previous video, and there's the medium weight. So the one that you can see here is the medium weight. Also there's the one that is hard. Okay, the one that is heavy, that's one that is hard. Do not use that, that's going to be too strong. So the medium weight, so it feels like paper. In fact, it is paper. If you do this, you can see it rips, even sounds like paper. You see that? So this is the one you should get. Okay, so now the next thing I want you to do is you keep the wrong side. So you see this is the wrong side of my rectangle. I need you to press and iron this completely flat. Okay, so press and iron this completely flat. Now when you are done with this, I need you to press and iron it flat. Okay, so now you see this, I need to fold the rectangle in half, okay, and iron it like so. I'm going to need to fold this one back, okay? So remember, I told you guys that this line that we have here, when we join the top part and the bottom part together, will serve as the shoulder line. All right, that part there will serve as the shoulder line. So this side that I have here is the front side of my neckline. This other side here is going to be the back of my neckline. And remember, I told you guys that I don't want the back to be as deep as the front. All right, so what I'm going to do now is, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to place a neckline width of 4 inches. Okay, so you see from the border that we have here, around where we have the joining, we're going to place a neckline width of 4 inches. I hope that the camera can pick up my chalk line. So a neckline width of 4 inches. Now this will work across a wide variety of necklines, okay, but the person I'm making for has a pretty small head. So sorry, I'm going to reduce this number to 3.5. But if you are on the big side, for instance, if you have a bust of around 44 all the way up, I would advise that you use a wider neckline. Only if you're a very, very busty person and then you are small but just have a lot of bust, then you can use 3.5 like I am using. Anyway, 3.5, 4 inches, adjust it according to, so if you feel like, if you do 3.5 like you would, if you feel any doubts when you use 3.5, then simply just use 4. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place the neckline depth. The neckline depth, I'm going to place it at 3.5 inches. Now 3.5 inches for the neckline depth would work for almost anybody. Okay, so I don't think this will be a problem, because we're going to turn this, add a keyhole. Okay, so there'll be a keyhole in this, meaning there'll be a line in front of the neckline. You guys will see it as the lecture progresses. So I'm trying to make a neckline now. So we have an angle here. Now I'm going to make a curve. I pray that my camera is picking up. Okay, so you see that with that we have formed the neckline in the front of the neckline. Okay, in the front. Also, now the next thing is to create a neckline for the back. Remember, I told you guys at the back I want it to be sloped by only 1 inch. So you see this line here, the line where I have my joining. I'm going to simply keep 1 inch from that line and make a mark. Do the same thing. Make a mark like so. Roll a line across, and then we're going to make a curve in the back. So I've made a curve. So now you guys have seen that I have made a semicircle from here all the way down, but more of the circle is leaning towards the part that I said that I'm going to use as the front of my dress. So now what I want you to do is, you see this part here, this part that the iron gum says to that we folded. I need you to put this in between, underneath this. Okay, so put this underneath. Make sure that as you're putting it underneath, that you adjust the front and that you have 8 inches. So you see this line here, my neckline, where I have my neckline depth. Make sure that you have 8 inches, what I have here in front of mine. So you see this here, I have 8 inches in front of it. Okay, 8 inches. Make sure that the distance from the bottom of the paper of the one underneath and the neckline that I have is at least 8 inches. Okay, when that is okay, please push them back. Make sure they are sitting on exactly the same line. So you see this, I've adjusted it until both the one on the outside, the one on top and the one underneath are sitting on the exact same line. It's not outside anymore. Okay, you see that it's almost invisible. It should look invisible to you guys. Make sure they're on the exact same line, not that one is inside and one is on top. When you've done that, simply cut around the blue line. So you see this neckline I had here, I'm going to simply put my scissors and I'm going to cut my neckline now. Good. So you see this, and with that we have formed a neckline. All right, so the next thing is to go to the sewing machine and piece everything together. But before we do, it's at this point that you carve this. So you see this here, this is the neckline that we have. There's going to be a cut in the front, okay, so that it's going to there'll be an opening in front. So you see this here, let me turn this to you. The side that is long is the front, this side that is short here is the back. There's going to be an opening here. I'm going to show you guys. It's called a keyhole. Okay, that's going to help her wear, because this circle here is too small, so I'm going to make a 5-inch keyhole. Also, it's at this point that you choose the shape of your of this facing. Okay, so this is going to face the outside. What I want you to do is choose the shape. If you want it to have like a curvy shape, you want it to have a circular shape, you can always make arcs around these curves here, and that's going to give it a circular shape. Okay, but I want mine to have a boxy shape. But if I cut here around like so, it's going to come out having curves around the edges, but I want mine to be boxy. Okay, yeah, but before I head over to my machine, I'm going to iron this piece. Now remember, I told you guys I'm not cutting it, I'm going to hem all sides. Okay, so I'm going to just bend ½ inch in like this, and I'm going to press and iron it. So let's head over to the ironing table, to the sewing machine. Alright, so now the first thing we're going to do is we're going to need to stitch around the neckline. So you guys can see my markings. This part here that I have, the small side is the front, this is the back. So we know that the side that is long on our facing. Okay, this side here is supposed to be the front, and this other side down here is supposed to face the back of the cloth. Okay, so now what I want you to do is I want you to open this pattern up. So you see this, remember we kept this on the fold. Okay, now I want you to open it up. Now mind you, this side that's facing me here is the wrong side. Okay, so the side that's facing me here is the wrong side. I'm going to need to stitch around this neck, okay, and turn everything to the right side. Okay, so the right side of the fabric is facing the machine. Alright, so now it's time to place the neckline. Okay, so when you're about to place the first thing we'll do is to join the facing to the fabric. So now the first thing you must know about the fabric is, if you guys remember, I told you guys that the front side is facing down. Okay, so keep the front side of the fabric facing your machine. The back side should face you. Take the front of your facing. So you see this part here, this is the facing, this is the front side. The wrong side has the cloth gone. Make the front side to face, you see this now, front side of your facing is facing the wrong side of the poncho. Okay, so you see this, I'm placing the wrong side, the right side on the wrong side of the poncho. Remember, wrong side of the fabric, right side of your facing down. Now this line here represents the center. There's a line here, I hope the camera is picking it up, that represents the center of the front. I'm taking the center, remember we ironed this in half, so you see this line here, there's a line here that shows the center. I'm going to align them together, and I'm going to simply stitch around the neckline now ½ inch. Okay, so you're going to go around your neckline ½ inch everywhere. Okay, so I hope you guys can see this clearly. I have stitched around the neckline. Okay, so I have stitched around the neckline, joining my facing to the poncho, to the fabric. Now what I want to do next is I'm going to need to stitch in front of here. Okay, so we're going to need to make a stitch in front of here to create a line in front of the top. Okay, you guys have seen the line on the thumbnail. This is how we're going to go about creating that line. So you see this point here. Okay, this part of my neckline is sitting right in the center of my top. Okay, so I'm going to need to make a stitch from here all the way down. I'm making a stitch from this point now down by 5 inches. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to come to the line. Okay, so now there's a line running from here straight down. What I want you to do, this is the center of the front. Now I want you to come from the 0.1 inch. Okay, how do I explain this? Alright, so now please, on yours you will not need to do this. Okay, but remember we folded this one in half. Okay, remember this was folded in half, so there's going to be a crease in your fabric. You will see a center line, something like this, running from top all the way to the bottom of your fabric. Now you see this line here. I don't want you to start stitching on this line. What I want you to do is, you see that line where you ironed, there will be that crease in the center. What I want you to do is I want you to come from that center, move away from that center by from the center line by 0.1 inch and stitch. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. 5 inches down. Make sure you back stitch at the top. So now I have gotten to where I have 5 inches. Leave your needle inside, pick up the presser foot. Okay, see the presser foot is not down anymore. Turn the entire poncho, make 2 stitches. Okay, so 2 stitches, like 1, needle in, needle out, 2. When you go into the second stitch, leave your needle in, turn the whole thing again, all right, and then stitch from there straight up to the top. you should have a circle. You should have a circle and 2 lines running down the center. So you see, first we have a circle here. Sorry, let me free this up. First we have a circle, then we have 2 lines running down the front. Now we're going to need to cut this open, but before we do that, notch around your neckline. Remember, this is a circle and it's not going to turn inside out well if you don't notch around. So notch around your neckline first, the circle. So remember this stitch that we made when we're going down. What I'm going to need you to do is I'm going to need you to cut here. Okay, so you see this, I'm making a cut in the center of that line. Okay, in the middle of the line, make a cut. When you're 0.1 inch close to the end, or 0.2, either way is fine. I need you to make 2 notches. Remember, we have an angle over here. Okay, there's an angle over here. You need to make notches both sides like that, so that it turns inside. So there's a straight line, okay, and then it now has, there's a straight line like this where I cut, and then it now has a mouth something like this. Okay, so this is what you should have at the end, something like a snake tongue, straight and open, and to be split in 2 at the top. So when you have done that, you're going to need to turn, next is to turn everything inside out. All right, so now you guys have seen that we have made a neckline on the other side. The next thing I'm going to do now, look at that, you see this part here, now we have the keyhole in front. Okay, now I'm going to head over to my ironing table. I'm going to press and iron this very flat. Okay, I'm going to take my time, press and iron this. Make sure you do the same. If you can, take like 4 minutes, 5 minutes, just sprinkle water on it, take your time, iron everything smoothly. If you want to use hemming tape underneath to hold the fabric in place, you can do that. Alright, so now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch around the facing. Alright, so I'm going to stitch around the facing now. I'm going to stitch very close to the edge. At this point, with your facing, you can do whatever design that you want to do. You can see I cut my pattern in such a way that the lines are running down, okay, to give it a bit of contrast with the rest of the fabric. Okay, so you can design this however you want. I'm sure by now you guys get the point. This is the design. Okay, so you can see we're done with the neck. The next thing we're going to do is to seal the side. Okay, so you see this is the neck. Remember, we have the shoulder line here. Let me lay it flat. So you see this part here, this is how the neckline is going to sit. Okay, now you see this line that we have here all the way down to here. If you notice this rough edge, the edge that we have here is still rough. Alright, so we're going to need to stitch this all the way from the bottom. Alright, so you see this part here, the shoulder. This is the shoulder line that you can trace to the neck. You're going to come to the very end of that part there, and you're going to seal. Now there are 2 sides like this. Okay, this side and the other side of where the sleeve, so the end of the poncho, sorry, is supposed to start from. So you're going to need to hem both sides of the way I'm hemming this. Okay, if you can see, I folded half first, then I fold half again. Okay, I'm going to do this until I get to the very top. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so you can see I've hemmed this side completely. Now I'm going to repeat the same thing off camera on this other side of the sleeve. Okay, when I'm done, I'm going to go iron both of them both sides completely flat. But the same thing I did on the other side, the same thing I'm going to do here. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hem the bottom. So you guys can see this is the neck, this is the side that we just hemmed together. I've hemmed both sides. Okay, this is the side. Now the bottom part. Okay, so this side here is the side that's at the bottom. You can see where I have my branding. I'm going to simply hem this side too. Now the same thing I do to this first side, the same thing I'm going to do to the other side of the bottom as well. All right, so the same way I hem the side, I'm going to hem it fold 1/2 inch 2 times and simply run a line. Now right, so I've hemmed this part here. I've hemmed it, so I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other end. Okay, so over here I'm going to do the exact same thing. Alright, so now I've done the neckline, I've hemmed the side, and also I have hemmed the bottom. Now it's time for us to seal the sides. Okay, so you see here, this is the neckline. Okay, so that means this is the side. So now what I want you to do is I want you to keep a space of 10 inches. Okay, so keep a space of 10 inches. I'm going to seal down the front. Make sure you back stitch when you start. I'm basically just joining these two sides here together. So I back stitched at the end, and with that I am done. Okay, so I'll see you guys in the next class. Have a nice day. Bye bye.